Yes! Ness! From the Earthbound series! Wait a minute, Ness is already in Smash. Are we doing Ness? Oh, it's not Ness, it's Ninten. Ninten! From the first Earthbound game, Earthbound Beginnings. Those of you that don't know who Ninten is just an average boy that likes baseball and penguins and some other stuff. Who actually has PSI powers, who he actually finds out after first finding a possessed lamp, and then getting a call from his father asking him to stop an entire alien invasion and save the world. Not too much of a big favor. No, not at all. Not at all. Okay, father. Not much you expect me to do. But not the point. After that, Nintendo's just a normal child with PSI powers, pretty much like Ness and Lucas. Which, yeah, Nintendo somehow does not get in Smash first. Oh well. Anyways, Nintendo didn't really master all his PSI powers and still needs some training. And just like Ness and Lucas did, training in Smash, I wouldn't see why not Sakura just puts in Ninten. But if Sakura's not going to make a moveset, then I will. So, things we need to know. Ninten will be very light and it will have 2 jumps. It will have the same jump gimmick as Ness and Lucas. He will have no additional move options. Now, let me show you what you might expect in this concept. Now, after being stuck on the moveset concept for after a week, I decided to finally watch a long playthrough of Earthbound Beginnings. It was about 7 to 8 hours long. So if you're waiting for this video, now you know why. It was very, very long and I barely paid attention to any of that. But what really baffled me that I compared this game to Ness's and Lucas' moveset. And what I noticed a lot is there's a lot of nice looking items in this game that could be used. And for some reason, Ness and Lucas only uses about 1 item using a baseball bat and a stick for Lucas. That kind of confused me for a moment. Items are pretty important in the game other with PSI power. So I decided to add that into Ninten's moveset. Or Ninten. Did I say Ninten? That's how I used to pronounce him. I don't know. So, you might be also wondering what you might see for his design. So, here's what we have for his design. It will be the normal classic Ninten design that looks a lot like Ness, except for one difference. Now, to separate Ness and Ninten's design, since they look very, very similar, I decided to add a scarf here, which is based on the commercial version of Ninten. But only the scarf, not the entire commercial. Why? Because this is the original design, and yes, as it will completely separate it, I decided it just might as well be an alter something. But we're not there yet. Now, what you might expect this, since I was talking about items, he will use PSI text there, but he will also use some pretty nice items. Anyways, starting for his jab, his first hit jab can have him do a straightforward punch. And then his second hit can have him do another punch. But then ending the jab doing a push, which does, well, have him dash forwards a little, using PSI power to deal damage to the foe. His dash attack can do a slide while poking the bat forwards. This is kind of based on how baseball players try to reach the safe. However, what's pretty nice about this is actually there's nothing too interesting about this move, as I wanted to make this move interesting in any possible way. So, for his side tilt, we're going to use a kick that uses PSI power. His up tilt, we're going to get very violent and having used a butter knife. But not as you use it. Since back in the original Earthbound game, Teddy is able to use the knife, but he actually isn't going to use it as you would think he would use it. Instead, he will use PSI power to levitate the knife upwards. It is pretty spammable if you keep, well, spamming the move. It does have a little slow start at first. And yeah, this works. I mean, he's not exactly using it. He's using levitation to move it upwards. So why not? Now, I also realized for the down tilt that almost every, well, Earthbound character in the game, Super Smash Bros., uses a kick. So I want to do a different kick for Ninten as well. Because for his down tilt, we got him to use a slide kick that works like Sephiroth's. It is also a similar reference to how baseball players reaches the safe. He may also slide off the stage, so be aware of that. Now going on to his smashes, his side smash can have him use a signed baseball bat that he loves, the Hank's bat. Who signed it? Probably a guy named Hank. But it's an aluminum bat that does deal quite a bit of damage, and it is very effective. But like Ness, it may reflect any projectiles that aims right in front of him if he gets the timing right. However, his up smash can have him use a slingshot, which is pretty useful in the game. Why not use a yo-yo? Because that didn't exist then. However, it is pretty nice. The up smash for Ninten. But the only not nice thing, it doesn't hit straight forwards. It is a little angled. It is very, very long though, and it is gravity affected. And it may even KO foes if they're high enough and have a high enough damage. It is gravity affected, so it will come back down. But it won't damage Ninten if it hits him. Finally, for Ninten's down smash, we can do something similar that Sword does when he slams his sword down to the ground. But instead, we're going to use a bat using PSI power to hit both sides. It is pretty effective on both sides. His neutral aerial can have you use PSI power to throw a boomerang that he has, which will spin around him. His side aerial can have him do another kick with PSI. His back aerial can have him quickly spin, using his bat to hit any foe behind him. His up aerial can have him lift up his bat. And finally, for the down aerial, we're going to slam his bat downwards, spiking any foe below him. And yes, it is a very effective spike, and it does deal quite a bit of damage. So be aware of this move. Ninten would grab the foe by using PSI power, forcing the foe to just stand there because they can't move. He would pummel by shocking the foe with also PSI power. A side throw can have him hold the foe in position, and then makes a home run winning game by batting them away. His back throw can have him levitate the foe back. His up throw can have him throw the foe over his head. And his down throw can have him use a PSI move known as Brain Shock, which will make the foe dizzy for 1.3 seconds. Now, this is when the interesting stuff happens, when he uses a whole bunch of PSI power. Now, for his neutral special, we obviously use some gravity projected bomb. Ness have some head thing that summons some special PSI bomb. Lucas has PK freeze. While Ninten, I decided to give him PK. Actually, this isn't called PK hypnosis, it's just hypnosis. Now, you might expect what it will work like. It would obviously summon a hypnosis bomb, which would put any foe to sleep for about 1.5 seconds. You may also control the hypnosis ball, just like Ness's and Lucas's bomb. It may also be reflected, just like the other two Earthbound characters' projectiles. Now, for his side special, he uses PK Fight. I'm just kidding. No one likes that move. Instead, his side special will actually use a boomerang, which will actually have him throw the boomerang, but for some odd reason, it doesn't come back to him. This is because the boomerang item is already really annoying and no one actually likes King K. Rool's side special either way. But it is pretty effective and it does go through the entire stage instead. It is also gravity effective, so when it does reflect, it will come back to him. But because of that, unlike other projectiles, if it does come back to him, if reflected, he will actually catches it automatically. So he won't take any damage if this boomerang is reflected back to him. His up special can use a pretty nice move that is known as Fourth Dimension Slip. This in the original game would have him warp dimensions and then out of the battle. How this would work in Smash will actually work like Zelda's subspecial, while having him use the move and then having a little star-shaped projectile will actually appear, and then once letting go of the trigger or waiting 3 seconds, Ninten would appear there. However, this is actually one of the safest move options in Smash, as he won't be able to be attacked while turning into a star, making it one of the safest up specials in the game for those edge guarders, which no one likes. Finally, for his down special, Gavin used a reflecting shield, which I think it's called PK Shield, PK Reflect. I don't remember, something like that. This will summon a barrier around both sides of him and reflect any projectile that's next to him. It will also affect above him, so if you're using someone like Steve and his anvil, which is a projectile, you're going to have a fun time. But Ninten's going to have a fun time because he's going to use his final smash. What is that final smash? Well, let's see. Ninten's final smash can even use a huge robot known as Eve. This would be a cinematic final smash by having coming to some random area while a giant Eve robot would appear, crushing the foe with a single stomp, dealing massive damage to any foe that is caught in this move. He will actually just does a home run string at first, and anyone caught in that move would obviously get in. It's not just one foe, so be aware of that. It does do massive damage, and if about 80% damage, then it is an automatic KO. Now getting into Ninten's ult. His first ult, Canavin has his normal appearance with the red scarf, which doesn't change much at all. The next one can be having go into his commercial outfit, which I was talking about in the beginning of this moveset. The next one can have a white outfit with the Starman logo on there. Spray in a minute. The next one can have a pink outfit, which is based on the character Anna. The next one is a red outfit with Lloyd on it. The next one is a green outfit based on a whole bunch of green enemies in the game. The next one is a blue alt with Teddy on it. And the final alt can have it actually be a color switch, having it be blue stripes instead of yellow stripes, and the shirt is yellow instead of blue. His taunts can have it eat bread. Bread is an eatable item that would heal you, obviously. However, this is just a taunt, so it wouldn't heal him. His next one can have him play one of the melodies, the 8 melodies, on his Arcana. And yes, if you do this in order, then it will play all 8 melodies. And finally, since he has asthma, he will inhale an asthma can, because he has asthma. His victory animations, Gavin get ready to swing an incoming baseball ball, then swings it home and then poses. His second victory animation, Gavin lean on the bat and then falls, but then just smiles. In his final victory animation, Gavin throw a boomerang, then catches it and then poses. And that's it. That's what if Ninten was in Smash. I hope you enjoy this concept because it was long. 3 weeks. So, if you haven't, please subscribe. But if you don't feel like subscribing, then I guess give it a thumbs up instead. If you want to keep track of any of our videos, then I suggest you ring the bell. That's what if Ninten was a smash. Have a good night.